This is a story of a child's justice never served. This beautiful baby in this picture, her name was Ashley Elizabeth Holt. She was born at Sacred Heart Hospital in Pensacola, Florida on November 5th, 1993. She weighed 7 pounds and 6.3 ounces and was 21 inches long. At birth, she had some problems because I had gestational diabetes and I had preeclampsia with her. So when she was born, she was on a heart monitor. She even had to have a spinal tap when she was a newborn because I went into congestive heart failure when I gave birth to her. She stayed in the hospital a day longer than I did, and she finally got to go home at 5 days old. From her birth until the day she passed away, she was hospitalized 4 times. She was hospitalized at 13 days old with spinal meningitis, and then 22 days old with RSV. She was hospitalized for bronchial pneumonia, and the last time was for bronchitis. She was a severe asthmatic baby, but she was always so happy. She said her first word at 3 months old, and she was talking in sentences at 5. Her favorite color was green, but she would call it geen. And whenever she wanted a drink, she'd say, sippy, tippy, for her cup. She'd say, cup, cup. She was the most happiest baby ever, and even in the hospital, you would never know she was sick. My world revolved around Ashley. She was my life. I was only 17 when I had her. I was 16 when I got pregnant and 17 when I had her. And she meant everything to me because I was a survivor of abuse. And because of that, I just wanted someone to love me for me, who I could love unconditionally and who would love me unconditionally back. And Ashley did. She was my baby. My sweet little China doll, as my best friend would call her. She was always so happy and always smiling. And then my life came tumbling down around me. And even now, no one will help me. And this is Ashley's story. It started on July 4th, 1995. We were at the Polynesian Resort at Disney World in Orlando, Florida, because I worked at MGM Studios at the Backlot Express as a cook. Because of that, we were allowed to go on property with our family. So for the 4th of July, we decided to go to the Polynesian Resort and watch the fireworks that Disney displayed there. My husband had been diabetic since he was 17 years old. At this current time, he was 22 years old. He had had it for several years and had been dealing with it just fine. On the 4th of July, we had food and drinks, and we were eating, and we were swimming at the pool, and I noticed that it appeared that Joey had let his sugar get low, which made me irate because he was standing in a pool that was 5 feet deep with our daughter Ashley in his arms, and he almost dropped her in the pool. And I grabbed her away from him, and I said, "What is wrong with you, Joey? Go eat! You know there's food over there. Why are you letting your sugar get low?" He just shrugged it off and walked over there like it was no big deal. And I was just so infuriated because I had 2 aunts that drowned and died at 2 years old. I never got to meet them. And so water always makes me nervous around my daughter. And I was floored that he would allow his sugar to get low when he knows better than to do that, especially holding our daughter in a swimming pool. He is not a moron. He ate something and drank something, and he was fine for the rest of the evening. I'll never forget that 4th of July. It was the last 4th of July I spent with my daughter. We were getting ready to go home. My dad told me I had to change out of my bathing suit. Now, at this time, I'm 18 years old. Okay, so I'm an adult. And I told him, I said, "Daddy, I'm dry." And he got mad at me and said, "No one's getting a caddy wet. Go change." I wasn't going to argue with him because arguing with my father was absolutely pointless, and he would not win anyways. He could out-talk the Pope. I'm telling you. So I went and I changed. And as the fireworks were ending, we had this beautiful lightning show in the sky, and it was just absolutely beautiful. Until the sky opened up and poured torrential rain on us, soaking all of us as we run to the caddy. My dad had Ashley in his arms, and he had her covered with a white towel. I'll never forget it. And she just sat there laughing. And she thought it was so funny, because here we are running in the rain, and Grandpa's holding her. And when we got to the car, I said, "Daddy, can anyone get in the car?" She said, "Shut up, don't say anything." I kind of thought it was karma. It was pretty funny. And Ashley thought it was hilarious. She loved it. I'll never forget her laugh and how she squealed when she was happy. And then we go to the 6th of July. Joey had drove my dad's car, to drop me off at work. And Ashley was with us. Well, about an hour into my shift, my supervisor comes up to me and says, "Your dad's on the phone. He needs to talk to you. It's important." So I said, "Okay." And I walked to the back and I got on the phone with my dad. And I said, "Hi, Daddy, what's up?" He said, "Is Joey still at Disney with you?" I said, "No, he left like an hour ago." He said, "He's still not home. Where is he?" I said, "Daddy, I don't know. I've been at work for an hour." And just before I was about to freak out, he walked in the door with Ashley, who was crying. So my dad goes, "He's here. Don't worry about it." I said, "Okay, Daddy." That night when I got home, Ashley didn't want nothing to do with her father. She wouldn't go near him at all. She just wanted to stay by me. It was like she was afraid of him. After that night, I told my father I did not want him leaving Ashley alone with Joey anymore. Because with him letting his sugar drop when he was working at Disney, and then again in the pool for no reason at all when there was food, he had access to it. There was absolutely no reason for him to let his sugar get low. None. He had had diabetes long enough. He knew what the symptoms are and everything. There was no reason for it. So I told my father not to leave Ashley alone with him anymore. I really wished he would have stuck to that. July 8th, I woke up and I was running late for work. My dad was working at Windermere's selling timeshare, and I was still working at Disney. My dad was hurrying me, and I was trying to hurry up and get dressed, and Ashley woke up and she was fussy. So I took her nook and I put it in her mouth and said, "Here's your nook, baby girl." I patted her on the butt and I kissed her on the head, and I said, "Mommy will see you when she gets home, okay? Go to bed, baby." We walked out the house in a hurry, and my dad's out of the car. I went to put my seat on, and he starts backing out, and we're driving, and I said, "Daddy, we gotta go back." He said, "What'd you forget?" I said, "I forgot to tell Ashley I love her." "I forgot, Daddy. I was in a hurry. I forgot." He said, "She's fine. She knows you love her. You tell her every day." I was like, "No, I have to go back and tell her I loved her. I forgot to tell her, Daddy." And like any normal person, he said, "Baby girl, she knows you love her. You tell her every day. More than one time a day." He goes, "We're running late and we don't have time to go back." I reserved myself to knowing that he was correct. That even though my stomach was doing belly flops and I had this very sick feeling, maybe it was just me being paranoid, Maybe I was just overthinking things again. I wish that was right. 2 hours into my shift, my boss had asked me if I wanted to stay and work a job.